Life is hard. That was the opening sentence from the popular book by M. Scott Peck, The Road Less Traveled, written over 45 years ago. Can y'all believe that? Life is hard. And his premise was that once we come to expect and understand this truth, we're more able to walk through life well. Well, Jesus told his followers that his life and their lives were going to get very hard. Just before this trip up the mountain, Jesus told them that he was going to suffer and die. And then he told them if they want to follow him, they're going to have to pick up their own crosses. Life is hard and will continue to be hard. This is the last Sunday after the Epiphany. It wasn't long ago that we were here celebrating the light coming into the world at Christmas. This year especially, it feels like we're running fast into Lent, much earlier than usual. The story of the transfiguration of Jesus is always the story that connects the Epiphany with the journey through the wilderness of Lent to the cross. I see so much grace in this story and where it is placed in the gospel narrative. In Mark, Jesus is on a fast track to Jerusalem. He knows that it's going to get hard for him and his followers, so he takes Peter, James, and John up the mountain. Going up the mountain is like Bible shorthand for going up to meet God. The mountain is where God's people go to connect with God, and Jesus wants to meet with his Father, and he wants his closest followers to be with him. Both Moses and Elijah met God in special ways on top of mountains. So it seems fitting that they would be there on this mountain. Both the law and the prophets in conversation with Jesus. But Jesus is different. We're told terrifyingly so. Because Jesus alone is transfigured before them. His clothes become dazzling white. Jesus is being seen as he is, the radiant manifestation of divine light. This is the truth of the one who they have followed up the mountain. This is Jesus, the light of the world. What a grace to give his disciples a glimpse of his glory, knowing all that is before them. Jesus wants them to behold his truth in a way that will support them all on their journey. But not only was Jesus lit from within, but the Father also speaks in this strong voice saying that Jesus is his beloved Son. Listen to him. The only other time that we're told about God the Father speaking audibly is at Jesus' baptism. And he calls Jesus his beloved Son there as well. When Jesus first heard this message about who he was in his Father's eyes, he was about to be sent into the wilderness to be tempted by Satan. And it was God's grace that gave Jesus this gift of clarity of his identity as the beloved before he faced temptation. I wonder if that's what's happening here with the transfiguration. Jesus and his disciples hear the same message that Jesus is God's beloved Son. And the Father adds the command, listen to him. God knows life is lived down the mountain. And life down the mountain can be hard. So the Father graciously gave these followers the gift of seeing clearly who Jesus is and this admonishment to listen to him. Jesus is special. He is light and life. He will have words that will guide and support you as you travel this hard life of cross carrying. Listen to him. Have you all ever wondered why we make such a to-do over the gospel reading here every Sunday morning? We have this shiny gold book that we take off the altar and walk down to the people with great ceremony. We've got candles, lights surrounding the book, and we all stand up together and we say praise and glory to Jesus before and after the reading. You see, we come here every Sunday to go up the mountain to see Jesus. And these words of Jesus are spoken by Jesus to his body. We make a big deal about it because we need to remember that Jesus is the divine Son of God. Seeing him clearly illumines our minds and supports our commitment and our loyalty to him and our calling to follow him. We are to listen to him and take these words with us back down the mountain to our lives. Every year during Lent, we are given an opportunity to see Jesus more clearly and to listen more carefully to his voice. As we prepare our hearts and our minds for Holy Week, we're asked to carry our own crosses, to live lives of self-sacrifice for others. You see, the real work of Jesus was not done on this mountain of transfiguration, but was coming in Jerusalem. Jesus' suffering, death, and resurrection is coming, and the disciples will need strength to persevere with him. The illumination of who Jesus was to encourage his followers to walk steadfastly on the way to the cross. Even our reading of the gospel, as magnificent as it is not the end of this divine service. We are on our way to this altar, the place we celebrate that great Paschal feast, the place we remember Christ's sacrifice for us. Our journey every year through the season of Lent prepares us for a deeper experience of Jesus' sacrifice. What can we do this Lent to better listen to Jesus? What practices help you to see Jesus more clearly and to listen to his voice more intently? What are the things in your life that numb your ability to see the light of his countenance and hear the words whispered in your heart? What is the cross you're called to carry? What things are you called to sacrifice for the good of others? These are the questions I've been reflecting on. But so often my spirituality and my devotion tend to be very personal, very individual. But this year I'm especially touched by this picture of Jesus taking friends with him to meet with his Father. There on the mountain, he was encouraged by Moses and Elijah. He heard his Father's voice, and he had friends to witness his transfiguration. You see, the road to the cross for Jesus was a road walked with companions. He wanted and needed others to be a part of his journey. We are meant to walk our cross-carrying path with others. This is not a solo adventure. Even Jesus needed help carrying his literal cross. We all need that. We need others to tell us where they're hearing from God when all we hear is silence. We need someone to remind us of how we saw Jesus show up in the past. We need others to cheer us on When we're so tired, we just want to lay down and quit. That's why we come to church every Sunday. This is where we remember that Jesus is special. His words are words of life. This is where we see we're not alone. We're part of a body all trudging the same road of happy destiny. This is where we're reminded that we follow a God that was human like us and knows what it's like to struggle through life. This is where we hear the good news that we are God's beloved children in Christ. Maybe this Lent, you want to find a small group of people that you can walk through life with. There are some things that we struggle with that keep us from hearing God's voice clearly. We can't overcome them on our own. We need support from others who understand we're not meant to do this life on our own. Maybe you're young and you're still in school, but you struggle with all its demands and you worry about so many things. It might help you to come to Sunday school or youth group or get in a small group to find out you're not alone in your worries and anxieties. Maybe it's time for some of you to join a small group Bible study so that you can learn to listen to Jesus with a safe group of fellow listeners. Being with others in our struggles also helps us learn to laugh a little bit more. Life can be hard, but it's also a lot of fun when it's shared with others. Sometimes we reflect our absurdity to each other and we can't help but see the humor of our lives. Whatever you decide to do this Lent, I invite you to consider how this community can support your calling to follow Jesus. Consider how you can be a support to others who are also walking the way of the cross with Jesus. We're not meant to walk alone. We need each other. Life is hard, but we're not alone. We follow a God who is willing to live in this world, show us a new way to be human, then go all the way to the cross for the love of us. He fills us with his Spirit and gives us everything we need to live sacrificially for others. And he also makes us a body, his family, friends to walk through life with. And as we follow him, we will behold his glory shining in our lives and in the lives of each other. The Apostle Paul wrote in his second letter to the Corinthians that we are all with unveiled faces beholding the glory of the Lord, and that we are being transformed into that same image from one degree of glory to another, for this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. As we follow Jesus Christ, he transforms us to be like him, lights shining with the divine light of God. I pray that this Lent you will join with others who want to listen to and follow Jesus, that you will know that you're not alone, and that as you follow him, God will change you and use you to be lights shining in our world.